Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. And Joe, I cannot believe it. I really can't. But we are talking Reds playoff baseball today. How are you doing? How was your weekend? You know, along with the Reds stuff.
Oh, it was good. Yesterday was one of the best sports days of the calendar with game 162 coming down to it, having a million screens up for NFL football, for Reds baseball, for Marlins baseball. Thank you, Marlins. Yeah, glad to be in. It is a gift from the Mets to get to this point. There was awesome watching some of their crash out videos again, but happy to be here. Let's see what we can do now.
I've not seen many. I've not seen. Is it Frank? Right. I've not seen his crash out video from yesterday yet, but I would assume it is quite good. So
it's good.
You will have to send that to me when we are done, or maybe do it now if you have an opportunity and you know where it's at, because I will definitely want to see it. But yeah, look, we are going to talk Reds playoff baseball. We'll still have a relatively normal episode as well. I will let you guys know. Well, before this, make sure you guys like and subscribe, because there hopefully will be a lot of new faces here with the playoffs. We're still doing content regularly here for the Reds. I hope you guys are locked in for it. But we will let you guys know, should the Reds move on, we will have another episode before whoever they would play next, which I believe is the Phillies. Is that right? So, you know, should that happen, we will make sure that we will have something kind of lined up for you guys as quickly as we can. So just kind of be prepared for that. Should the Reds lose, we will just have another normal Monday. We'll talk about the series. We'll talk about some of our offseason expectations, all that kind of stuff. Regardless, you're getting at least one more, hopefully multiple more episodes from us before we hit into off-season mode, which we will kind of announce what's going to be going on there for that. But today, Joe, we're going to do a quick question today. We will talk about this week's games. We will do the injury update, and then we're going to be talking Reds-Dodgers for the playoffs here. In case if you missed it for some reason, in case if you clicked on this video without knowing it, the Cincinnati Reds did make the playoffs. They eked their way in, about as eking as you could, because it was a weird week for our Cincinnati Reds, but they did just enough to get in. I think you and I said at the very beginning of the year, somewhere between 83 and 86 wins would get them in, and that's pretty much where we ended up. So very happy about that. I will selfishly say as well, Joe, which you know I normally don't. I also hit my bet that I had at the beginning of the season. I had the Reds making the playoffs. So a very happy day. Very happy day for that one too. So that'll get me through football season with that money. So, all right, let's get into it. Question of the day, by the way, give us your predictions for this series. Who do you think is going to win between Reds and Dodgers? How do you think it's going to go down? Are we going to see all three games? Let us know in the comments section below. But let's get through the games real quickly from this past week. It started off with just a head-scratcher of a game, Joe. It was a 4-2 loss for the Reds versus the Pirates. The Reds could seemingly just not figure out the very solid Pirates pitching, by the way. It would be an O'Neal Cruz 2-run home run that would pretty much seal the fates of the Cincinnati Reds. Brady Singer really wasn't bad. He just wasn't his normal self. Gave up a bunch of hits. You know, gave up the 4 runs, and normally in a series middle of the year, you wouldn't hate that. You know, he just struggled really on like 2 pitches. But you can't let people like Jack Sawinski beat you. He, I think, finished the year well under 200, well under 140, I think. But somehow the Reds seemingly let arguably the worst hitter in all of baseball, who was still getting regular playing time, beat them. They would try to scratch across some runs. They would respond with 2 in the second, and they just could do nothing else, and they lost 4-2. Then the real backbreaker, the one that I tweeted out and I said, I will see you in 2026, Reds fans. Oh boy, was the Wednesday game against the Pirates. The Reds would go down 2-0 early on. Hunter Green pitched well, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Really not bad. Chase Burns came in, 3 Ks. Pagan would come in, do a great job as well. And then we would get to extras, with some big heroics from Noel V. Marte. This Reds team would be right in it. We would head into the ninth tied. We were hoping for a win. The Pirates would get one in the 10th. The Reds would respond. The Pirates would get one in the 11th. The Reds would not respond. The game-tying home run that you thought might send them straight into the playoffs was a Tyler Stevenson one in the 9th. Arguably his biggest home run of his entire career. But yet again, the runners in scoring position, 1 for 10 for this team, is what really hurt them. Nick Martinez would come in, giving up that last one. And we all thought it was over. But the Reds would keep battling. They did not care what we thought, Joe, because in that final game of the series, the Reds would scratch across 2 runs, Gavin Lux and Noel V. Marte. In this game, Nick Lodolo would get pulled for a right groin, but he was cruising, arguably his best start of his career when the Reds really needed it. 6 in the third, 2 hits, 1 walk on his 12th strikeout. Basically, they thought he had pulled his groin. He felt a little something. And Santillan would give up a run here after being just absolute nails all season. But the big thing in this one, Noel V. Marte would come up on a 3-0 pitch. I can't even believe this. I sat there and I said to myself, Brian Reynolds is going to swing at this 3-0 pitch. And it's either going to be a home run or he's going to look real silly and get out. And he hit that ball, and I was so sure that our season was over because I did not think this team had it in them, Joe, to win in extras one more time. But Noel V. Marte, with already the biggest catch of his career, pulls one back from Brian Reynolds, then gets the very next out as well. Pagan saves it for his 30th save, and the Reds would win this game. Joe, I was about to put my head through a wall during this series, really and truly. There's just no reason they should have played the Pirates. It's because I do understand that the Pirates have very good pitching, a lot of good young guys. You know, you expect to lose the game to Paul Skeens, but you drag that one into extras and you think you've got a chance, right? Johan Oviedo pitched very, very well, did through most of the latter part of the season. Ashcraft as well, their Ashcraft, not ours, pitched well as well, and their bullpen was actually pretty solid down the stretch. If this team can get any hitters over the offseason, they might be a bit of a problem, honestly. But they eked one out, Joe, with huge heroics to save the season. I don't really know that we should dwell too much on this one, but where are you at with it?
Yeah, it's definitely one of these where you would like to have won some of these games. In the end, it doesn't matter. But when you kind of think back to just, again, how fortunate we were that the Mets crashed out so hard. This is very much the series where, we lost to Sacramento, got swept to Sacramento. But this was one where, we were in the driver's seat and we just immediately gave it up. And I think it's just a combination of a lot of things. Singer had a bad start in game 1. He had been pitching well since the All-Star break, but just hasn't, in the last couple of starts, hasn't had it. We'll get to his next one in a little bit here. But I do think there was some fight you saw, especially in that Wednesday game. I was there. Ellie had the home run in the first game. Hunter Green got himself into some jams. He got himself out of some jams in that Wednesday game. Stevenson had the home run. Marte had the inside the park little league home run, whatever you want to call it. When third time it's happened this year is just crazy, to be honest. Those 2 games where we lost, I did think that Wednesday it was over. I thought there was just no way the Mets could keep on crashing out.
They did.
Credit to them for showing resiliency, and Marte for robbing that home run, for that Vander stepping back, for Lodolo for getting 12 Ks on that third start of the series. It's not the end of the world that they lost those 2 games. I'm still utterly shocked that they are in this position because there's about a 1% chance they make the playoffs with this record, with the payroll that they're going up against with the Mets, and that the Mets crash out that well. So, yeah, good for them for sticking with it. Getting that last one of the Pirates series is obviously huge. And they knew what they had to do against the Brewers, which is at least win the series, if not sweep them. So they stayed locked in. Credit to them. I think they really have been able to block out a lot of the outside noise, which Rob and I cannot block out because we're on Twitter every day. But they did a really good job of getting that last win, and it was a bad series. But yeah, I think that's something we could worry about next year, where it's like, yes, we do need to do better against the division. We do need to do better against the Pirates. We should not have the record we have against them since 2020 or whatever. It's just going to make our lives harder in the future. But for now, we can forget about the Pirates and move on, and get ready for some playoff baseball where we can really test out how good of a team we are against teams that we say sometimes that we play better against better competition. Maybe it's just that. Maybe the Pirates were too bad for us.
Damn it, Pirates. Why couldn't you have been just slightly better? But that's all right, because we still had 3 in Milwaukee, and I had a feeling we would get one of the first 2, and I thought it might come down to the last day. But I thought the Reds would be in not a good position for that. We'll start it off here. The Reds would go down early. Zach Littell would give up 1 run early on, and it felt like they were in a bad spot. But the Reds would respond in the 4th inning. They would get an RBI from Miguel Andujar. And then in the 5th, Littell would get into some trouble, and this bullpen, which was absolutely outstanding over the last couple weeks, would come in and be absolute nails. Connor Phillips may have earned himself a playoff roster spot, specifically with just this game. He came in a pickle. He gets 3 strikeouts in an inning and a third. Graham Ashcraft, who has just apparently refound something in himself during that time on the IL, an inning with a strikeout. Santillan, a walk, but an inning with a strikeout. Pagan gets his 31st save and starts what is an incredible run for him and Santillan, where they pitched basically every day down the stretch. The Reds would end up with 9 strikeouts. They'd get RBIs from Spencer Steer, who just came on strong, along with Tyler Stevenson. This team that had struggled with runners in scoring position would go 4 for 9 against Quinn Priester and the Brewers. The Brewers would not be able to scratch over anything. The Reds would win the first game of the series. And at that point, Joe, we were all wondering what was going on here, because the Mets would lose their game. And we would sit there and wonder, oh my, what is going to happen now? Because the Reds were tied at this point again because the Mets lost game 1 against the Marlins. We would head into game 2, and this would be an all-important one. The Reds would get to Robert Gasser. He looked good through the first 2, but some walks, a couple hits, an error would hurt him. They would bring in Mizorowski, who was very good as well, and the Reds did what the Reds do. They hit singles and started rallies, and they continued rallies. Big hits by T.J. Friedel, big hit to get us on the board initially with Sal Stewart. Key Brian Hayes would leg out an infield single as well. Matt McLean would have arguably his best game in the entire last week in this one, reaching 4 times. Andujar with 3 big hits here. Abbott would go 5 1/3. Not his best yet again, but he has learned, and what's made him such an effective pitcher, and one that I'm very, very hopeful for with the future, Joe, of him, is 3 earned runs in a game that wasn't his best against a very good lineup still. 4 Ks. He did give up the 1 home run. Connor Phillips, again, would come in. He would struggle a little bit in this one, but Graham would get them out of it. Nick Martinez would have 2 huge innings. And then a 4th game in a row, Emilio Pagan, just the cojones on this guy to come in again, nail it down for the Reds. They would win 7-4 after 6 big ones. Souster would give them a much-needed extra run on a huge home run into right field. His 5th already of the year, even though he has not played in very many games. The sky could potentially be the limit for that kid. Next year. We'll talk a lot about him, I think, during the offseason, specifically Joe. But 7-4 win. The Mets would also win 5-0, I believe, in this game, in their game. and it would all come down to the last game of the season. The Reds would get out to an early 2-0 lead, a massive home run by Ellie De La Cruz, another home run by TJ Friedel, but then the offense would go dormant, something we are used to. Brady Singer, we always knew he would probably give up 2-3 runs, but he would keep you in the game. 3 1/3 innings, they would pull him. Lodolo would come in, unfortunately give up a hit to make it 4-0 for the Brewers after a 2-run home run from Jansen would put them over the edge. But Chase Burns would come in, an inning and 2/3, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Barlow, a walk and a strikeout, and then Connor Phillips with 2 big strikeouts yet again. The Brewers would trot out everybody. The Reds would lose 4-2, but the big news was that the Marlins would hold on to win 4-0 as they would blank the Mets, who had an opportunity, big-time opportunity, with arguably their best hitter, Pete Alonso, up with bases loaded. I really thought it was over there, Joe. I was 100% sure he was going to hit a grand slam, and the Marlins would go on to lose. Instead, the baseball gods, rabbit's feet, whatever you feel religiously, decided that ball was going to go straight to the left fielder, whose name I do not know. I don't know that I've ever heard that name before, but the ball goes straight to him on 116 miles an hour, and thank God the Reds would get to celebrate as the Mets would drop, Joe. And we are now in this position where the Reds really and truly are in a playoff spot. And we can thank the Marlins for taking 2 of 3 against a Mets team that I kept saying it and I kept saying it. They did not play well on the road. They just did not. The Mets they finished the season 13 games under on the road. They went 17 games over at home, but I don't even know how that math is working. It's not mathing correctly, but whatever. It is. Okay, never mind. Regardless, the Mets were not able to get it done on the road, as they had not pretty much all season long. And the Reds are now in this position, and we'll get into it here in a minute. Do you have any final thoughts there on that Brewers series? Because they exercised some serious demons, winning 2 of 3 in Milwaukee. Milwaukee still looked like they were playing, by the way, the whole way. I don't think that they were giving the Reds. I know that they pitched a bunch of people, at the end there, but they were still using their best guys. Peralta was still coming back. They were needing to get DL Hall ready. He's been a pretty good guy for them. They used McGill as well. Like, they still were playing, and almost all their starters played through most of the game as well. So I know they're the best team in baseball, record-wise. So I'm just going to be honest. Like, I think top to bottom, they're currently a better team, obviously, than the Reds. But it still felt like they were playing till the last out.
Yeah, and they should have been too. Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, they already have everything locked up, but they're not going to play for a week. And you don't want people to get too out of rhythm. So you want to play all your good players. You want to get your pitchers to pitch some innings. So that's why they had Freddie Peralta pitch a couple innings, and then they kind of just rotated in guys in and out after that for the last game. And also credit to the Brewers for letting the Reds celebrate on the field. They put a nice graphic up there for the Reds to celebrate, so that was cool from them. For a team that has caused us a lot of terror over the last couple of years, that was a nice gesture by them. You're right, Javier Sanoa played left field yesterday for the Marlins, had that awesome catch in left field. He also plays second base. He had a big triple with an RBI. He doesn't have to buy a drink in Cincinnati if he comes here next year or something like that. So good for him. This was a series that I do think you're right. I think they exercised some demons. I think it was a total team effort to get it done, too. There were definitely guys that I have issues with still who did not perform, and we'll talk about that maybe in a little bit. But like Zach Littell battled, man. It wasn't a good start the first game, but he battled. Brady Singer in the third game, he battled, too. Bullpen gave up 3 earned runs this series. With the amount of innings they pitched, that's really good. Mm-hmm. Like some series, if the starters go 6-7 innings, a lot of games, maybe that's not the best, but that was really good. The bullpen only gave up 4 earned runs all week long for all 6 games. That's
crazy.
Huge. So would have loved the offense to kind of come bigger in the Pirate series, but I digress. We had Andujar, Stevenson, Steer, big RBIs in Game 1. We had Stewart and Andujar having big Game 2s. We had Ellie and Friedel home runs in Game 3. Very impressed with Lodolo coming out of the bullpen. Did give up an earned run, but just doing a new role and still staying ready for starting against the Dodgers next week. We were able to save Hunter Green, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have been used if we absolutely needed to. This
Yep.
was, I think, a very well managed last series of we were doing everything possible to get into the playoffs. So, yeah, it was good. And like I said, I think the unsung heroes, I think, so far this week was the bullpen just kind of keeping a minute. There was not a lot of pretty starts. There were some good starts by some of the guys like Lodolo and Green, but in the games where they needed to step up, the bullpen did, and only four runs. I mentioned that this is an average at best bullpen, and I think in the aggregate they are the full season they are. They're a 3.89 ERA. That is 14th in the league. That is the definition of average. But this week they were lights out, and even the last, I would say, 2 weeks of the season they were pretty good. So just something to watch out for. And then honestly, they've added to it. Nick Martinez is in the bullpen for the second half of the year. We have Chase Burns in there now. Connor Phillips has come out of nowhere and done really well. So it has been a thing that has turned from, I think, the midpoint of the season was a weakness to now it's like, it's not a strength necessarily, but this week it was. And overall, it's like an average bullpen. That's good to have. In a series, that's a weapon to have in this series, especially against the Dodgers, who we'll talk about in a little bit, who has some weaknesses that I think we can exploit.
I mean, look, they're a bunch of dogs, man. They just went out there and they got the job done. I want to give so much credit to three guys specifically. Now, there were a lot that I think made this possible, but how can you not give some serious love to Connor Phillips, Tony Santillan, and Emilio Pagan? Those guys came in and got the freaking job done almost every single time, Joe. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I watched as they were celebrating, and Nick Kroll came in, and the first time I saw him, the first person he went up to was Tony Santillan. And I hope, and they had like a nice conversation for a minute there, I hope he whispered into his ear, I'm excited to pay you more money over the next few years. Because, I mean, really and truly, Santillan could be their closer next year, but I think they just love him in that emergency role so much that I don't know what's going to happen with the closer role next year, because Pagan, I believe, is gone next year, at least currently contract-wise. So we will have to see kind of how the Reds want to go about it. He did finish second in saves in the National League, Joe, which is pretty incredible. I think, especially where I didn't even want him on the team. And I think you probably thought he was at best like a middle guy who might come in at the beginning of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember those conversations vaguely, since it was 6 months ago at this point. But he just stood out to me in such a big way. And when the Reds needed it, they got hits. And I'll be interested to see. A lot of people complained, why is Trevino in? Why are they doing this and that? And I'm just like, dude, Terry's got a pulse on this team right now. I understand that people didn't like seeing Trevino there at the end, but like that dude is a game manager, right? And I understand that people don't like this, but the Reds are going to play strong defense first. That's their goal, right? McLean will play. Trevino will play. Hayes, Ke'Bryan Hayes will play, right? And the goal is to have really strong infield defense and hope that Marte can continue to grow and Friedel can continue to do his thing, and then we'll see what happens in left field. We'll talk about that a little later, but man, I mean, what a great day yesterday. Really and truly. I was almost in tears, honestly. Like, I was welling up, dude, because the amount that this team battled, Joe, at the end there, I was going to absolutely just be devastated if they lost it. I know that they should have won. I'm hearing even from my friends, well, what a weird way for them to lose and make it in. I saw a tweet either today or yesterday that was like, dude, teams lose to make it in the playoffs all the time. Like, the Reds still put themselves in that position with all the other games that they did win. Sweeping the Cubs in 4 games, like, taking 2 of 3 from the Brewers at the end. Our biggest demons were against some of these teams in our division. And yes, losing 2 of 3 to the Pirates sucked. But if you would have told me that the Reds were going to win 6 of 7 against the Cubs and Brewers, the other 2 playoff teams from our division, by the way, I would have told you were out of your mind. I did tell you guys that they were out of their minds. We said 3-3 at a minimum would give them a shot. 4-2 definitely would have got them in. That was kind of our prediction, and that's what happened. So I'm cool with it, Joe. I am not going to complain about it. You know, this is such a big moment for a lot of these young players. I went and looked early last week at the contracts of this team, and almost every single person is under contract for at least 2 to 4 more years. So this is a huge learning moment for a team in the first year of a new manager. And if any of you are going to tell me that David freaking Bell was going to be the one that would have gotten them to this moment, you can get the hell out of here. And I mean that respectfully. Partially. Almost not really. I'm sorry, but the Tito hate was just getting too much for me. I just can't stand it. I don't like the every day we're going to question every single thing that happens in the lineup. Like, do something better with your lives. I'm just going to be honest. It's not worth that kind of stress. I trust that he's going to get it done. Every single manager hears that stuff. Let's pick something else to maybe try to discuss here moving forward. But kudos to them. They freaking did it. And I'm proud of them, and I'm pumped.
Yeah, I mean, again, we took a gift from the Mets and got into the playoffs, and we earned it. So we can cheer when we lose in game 162 and make the playoffs. It's baseball. It's a long series, or long season, excuse me, and we took care of business that other teams didn't take care of. And,
exactly.
And to be honest, that's why we always talk about the small games and why, like, yes, we probably shouldn't be in the playoffs right now, and we should have, like, we should be looking back in our minds right now. Oh, we got swept by the Athletics. Oh, there was this game we lost, that game we lost, all those extra inning games. That's how we should be feeling right now, but we got in, and it doesn't matter. I have another stat I'm going to say as one of my fun facts later in the show at the very end that will help kind of prove what a good job Terry's done. But just look at the other teams in this playoffs. We did not spend enough to be in the same room with these teams.
Nope.
Every single one. The Brewers are the only team that we are close to in terms of, I would say, talent. And they're the best team in the league. They've just totally gotten the best out of all their talent. Yep. There's teams like the Giants who missed the playoffs, the Diamondbacks who obviously traded a lot of their guys away, the Braves who had some injury issues that might even be more talented than us right now. And they're out of the playoffs. So it was a great job to get to the playoffs. And again, I said last week that everyone can suck my dick if they want to keep on criticizing Terry. They keep on doing it. It's not going to stop. I don't know what it is. It's crazy to have that thought. Again, all due respect to David Bell. I didn't think he was a good manager. I thought he should have been fired years before he was. But that's just like, why don't we take the win? We got into a playoffs for the first time since 2013 because the COVID year doesn't count. With all the teams that got in and everything, and it's a full season. So yeah, it was a fantastic job. I think it was knowing the pulse. The players talked about how after the Athletics sweep, he came in and said, "Hey, I believe in you guys," and they ran with it. They believe themselves. They keep on saying you can't kill the Reds. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for the Dodgers now. They have no business beating the Dodgers in LA, but I think it'll be tough. I think they're going to fight till the end. Yeah,
I'm going to give them one more flower here, Joe. They had all 4 of their last series against, their division, right? Ultimately, the Reds went 6, 7, 8, 9 and 3 in those last 12 games against their division. And I know 2 of those losses were against the Pirates. I hear you. But after getting swept by the Athletics, you would have 100% thought there's no shot they are going 9 and 3 in those last 12 games. I wouldn't have. But you go to St. Louis, you exercise more demons, you win 2 of 3. You come home against the Cubs, bookended by 2 1-0 wins, by the way, our biggest nemesis at the beginning of the year. You sweep the Cubs. You think, oh God, they've lost 2 straight against the Pirates, it's over, and they go ahead and they just win the first 2 in Milwaukee to put themselves, and the pressure, by the way, on the Mets. The Mets clearly could not handle the pressure at all down the stretch. And it started with, losing 2 of 3, by the way, against the Reds early on this month. So, yeah, Reds fans, just enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that we are here. Do not let anybody take it away from you. They still had to go out and do it. They could have rolled over and died at the end of that Athletics series and just been done and done what they had done all season and all of our lives for the most part against, our own division. The Reds did end up finishing exactly 26-26 against the division, and look, considering how horribly they started out against it, I think you and I both are very happy about that, in the way that they were able to take care of business there. So they also exercised their demons against lefties, felt like they couldn't beat them. They only finished 4 games under against lefties for the season. And then against 500 teams, by the way, I'm going to put this stat out there real quick. The Reds were 44-42 against teams above 500. The Padres 43-43. The Cubs 38-46. So, yeah, the Reds will need to learn how to beat the bad teams next year, Joe. But they play up to their competition, and I'm excited to get into this Dodgers series. Before we do that, let's get into injuries real quick. The only important one is Austin Hayes. It sounds like he's good to go. He did take an at-bat yesterday. He swung his damnedest on it, and it seems like his back was fine. He was partying with everybody last night. I did think it was really funny. Athletic trainer Tomas Vera the entire time is like clearing out the bottle caps and stuff where they were all dancing so that nobody would step on them and hurt their foot. Respect. I know I've been giving you guys a lot of crap all season, but I will give you a ton of respect for thinking about that in that moment, because, cutting their finger on opening up a bottle or, stepping on a bottle cap or something like that could actually be a problem during a celebration like that when they all have their feet, their shoes off and they're dancing around and they're drinking. So, respect. I don't think you have anything else to add on injury update. You want to just get into playoffs?
Well, just Hayes' injury is key here. Can he play the field or can't he? Because that could affect the roster we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So he took the at-bat yesterday. Let's see. I would imagine he can probably play the field. But just with how many defensive liabilities, Lux, Andujar, whoever else you want to put in there, that does make it a little bit interesting where do you keep him just because of his bat if that's all he can do? And I think he'll be fine. I think he's going to be able to play the field if we need him to.
I think he probably will too. It's 2 games. Unless if his back literally seizes up in the middle of game 1, I have a very distinct feeling he will be out there in left field to start. Let's talk real quickly about the playoff bracket, Joe. We have got some, let me bring it up here. Okay, so we've got some interesting matchups. I'll go over the other ones very briefly for everybody. Over in the American League, we will have the Tigers and the Guardians, the teams who were battling it out to see who would win the division. Everybody thought it was going to be the Tigers. They also had a pretty epic collapse, but unlike the Mets, they made it in. The Guardians would still take the division on the last day of the season, but that will be an awesome series. The Mariners got a bye. They will face whoever that won that one. The Yankees and the Red Sox, an unbelievable first game matchup there in the American League as well. Whoever wins that one will go on to play the Blue Jays, who are the best team in the American League, just barely. But a pretty incredible day, or pretty incredible start there in the American League. 2 big rivalries going up for it. The Red Sox will head to the Yankees, by the way, Tigers to the Guardians. We will have the Padres and the Cubs battling it out as well for a chance to play the Brewers later on in the week. And then our Reds and the Dodgers will be facing off to see who will face the Phillies in the League Championship Series. Playoff roster. We got to talk about that before we get into this game. The Reds will have to put 2 players who are currently on their roster not on there. I think there's one 100% player who will not be there, and then we'll talk about the rest. I think you'll agree with me. Thank you, Big Sugar, for your contributions later on in this season. You did help us out in a couple games later on, but you will not be making the playoff roster. I would be shocked if for some reason he made that playoff roster. So that comes down to 1. I have 3 players that are potentially on the cutting block here. I have either Littell, Phillips, or Santiago Espinal. The way that I see it, Joe, it should be a pitcher. And the reason why is because you're playing, 2, maybe, 3 games in a series. You're not necessarily going to need all of your pitchers. A starter generally is the one that's going to go down. I theoretically could see them taking Singer out just because he doesn't have experience out of the bullpen, but I feel like if they needed somebody to come in an emergency start, I think I'd rather it be Singer than Littell, but I'm really conflicted on this one. I think they'll probably bring Espinal. He's just too good of a defensive backup if you absolutely need one. He is a guy who can lay down a bunt, much to everybody's chagrin. And I feel like that final spot on a roster, a playoff roster, is generally saved for a guy who is truly just a defensive specialist, which Espinal is. He's played every single position in the infield this year, and he can play the corner outfield if they absolutely need him to. I think he's just too valuable for them not to bring, so I think they bring everybody. That includes Sal Stewart, by the way, who, if they leave him off the roster, I will riot. So then, to me, it comes down to, I guess, technically Singer, Littell, or Phillips, but they might leave Singer off just considering the fact that he pitched on Sunday, Joe. That now that I'm thinking about it, that could possibly be why they would technically leave him off the roster, because he wouldn't even be really available to pitch on Tuesday or Wednesday anyways. I don't know. Where are you at with this?
Yeah, I kind of think it's going to be 2 pitchers, and they would have 12 pitchers, I think, after that point for
Which
3
is
games.
fine.
That's more than fine. And it's also partially, like you said, with the injury. Like, if Hayes is unable to play the field, Espinal gives you a different defender you can put in.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit, like, big, because we have Andujar again, who injured, can't play the field. Lux, who did have a nice catch last week too,
He
at
did.
Opus, so maybe that's good for him. But that's going to be huge. I would say Singer and Littell, probably between them. Phillips has just been so good for us down the stretch. That is probably one of them. If it is Singer just because he pitched today, I would understand it. If it is Singer because he doesn't have the bullpen experience, I would understand it. If it's Littell just because he's been not himself since he's been with the Reds, I would understand it. I don't think either player has really a big gripe. I do think that those guys would be in play to be on the roster for the next round if we make it. Both of those guys, especially, I mean, you can't figure in like what injuries might happen or what guys might be used. So yeah, I would say probably Maxwell's definitely gone, and then one of those 2. I could see it being Espinal. He just hasn't played a ton down the stretch. I do think his value is there just to be able to be a stopgap. If anyone gets hurt, you at least have a guy who can play that position now. Like, if it's a left fielder gets hurt, a center fielder gets hurt, you can move Benson to center, you can put Espinal in left. There's almost no substitute for what he can do with the amount of positions he can play at a high level.
I'm almost 100% sure right now it's going to be Maxwell and Singer. And I think it's truly because of the fact that he pitched. It will not be his day up, and there's no shot. I shouldn't say that. You know what? No, there is no shot that they would need him in this series. Because should, for some reason, God forbid, Abbott get hurt or something like that, that's in Game 3, let's say, right? Because that would probably be the Abbott start. You 100% just go straight to Chase Burns, in my mind. Or Nick Martinez, right? To give you those innings. And I'm only thinking of it because of the freaking flashbacks to Cueto getting hurt, or was it Volquez? Cueto or Volquez getting hurt, and then I forget who it was who came out of the bullpen. Was it Latos that came out of the bullpen?
I think it was Latos.
Yeah, I think Latos came out of the bullpen and was just a bulldog. Not a good person, but hell of a pitcher, honestly, for the Reds at least. So, yeah, Joe, I'm almost certain it's going to be Maxwell and Singer, and I'm 100% sure, obviously, they will let them both travel with them. Right, especially Singer. I would be more surprised if they didn't, because he has been a leader in the clubhouse as well. And I don't think I would be also shocked if he was like, wait, what do you mean you're not going to have me on the roster? It's going to be like, well, dude, because you literally were the last pitcher on the last day. You know, his next day at best would be that Friday. And I just don't see that happening. So, I mean, let's be completely real and honest with ourselves. Should the Reds make it to the next round of the playoffs, Hunter Green will pitch on 4 days rest. They will not, unless if for some reason he goes, 130 pitches on Tuesday to throw a perfect game or something like that in the freaking playoffs. Like, he will absolutely, I would have to think he would be ready to go by Saturday for that series. I really do, because, right, it'd be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, so I would think that he would be able to. And if not for some reason, then at that point we'd be talking a little differently. Maybe they would bring back Singer, have him do Game 1, and then have Green do Game 2. But if you are giving me the choice between Singer and Littell, obviously I would pick Singer. But the one thing that we do have experience for Littell in, and he's a nice change of pace kind of guy, would be the bullpen. but you have Martinez there. I'm just talking through my thought process right now, Joe. I'm thinking it's Maxwell and Singer. That's what I'm going to stick with for now. Do you have any other thoughts on that before we move on to the Dodgers?
Yeah. No, that's probably how it's going to be based on how we've played things. I mean, there's definitely arguments if they would shift the lineup differently, the decision might be different, or if they didn't use so many defensive substitutions, the lineup or the decision might be different. Like if Sal Stewart played second base every day and Matt McClain was on the bench, and you had Matt McClain and Santiago Espinal, yeah, I'd be fighting tooth and nail to have Santiago Espinal on the roster over Matt McClain, to be honest, with how bad Matt McClain has been. But that's just not how they've done it. They've let Matt McClain stay at second base, and we're going to get into the lineups here in a second, and I think that's a problem.
Okay, we'll get through it here in a minute. So let's hop into the Dodgers. Game 1 is pretty much confirmed right now to be Hunter Green versus Blake Snell. They have not officially announced it, but that is the expectation. What is incredible to me, Joe, is that the Dodgers are not taking their true number one. I think Yamamoto has been their guy. But the expectation is that it'll be Lodolo versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I know Lodolo just pitched, but he also did get pulled from his start earlier. So he should be rested by the time Wednesday rolls around. I would have to think. He's going to be a little out of his routine. I think if for some reason they really don't think that he's ready to go, they will throw Abbott there. I can't imagine Abbott wouldn't be ready and willing to start that game. I know he threw Saturday, but you'd have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it'd be on day 4 instead of 5. But I think he could if they absolutely needed him to. I would rather have a day's less of rest for Andrew Abbott than either Littell or Singer, personally. So that's the way I think it's going to go right now. If we did get to Game 3, by the way, it would be Andrew Abbott versus Shohei Ohtani, who is still not gone more than 5 innings really all season. So that could be very interesting there for the Dodgers. I'm going to go through lineups, and then we'll get into predictions. These are expected lineups, by the way, posted by MLB.com. We're not 100% sure on these, but this is generally the way they think it'll go. Shohei Ohtani leading off for the Dodgers at DH. Mookie Betts at shortstop. Freddie Freeman batting third at first base. Max Muncy batting fourth at third base. Teoscar Hernandez in right field. Tommy Edman in center field. Andy Pages in left field batting seventh. Eighth, Miguel Rojas at second base. And then Ben Rortvert, something like that, at catcher because Will Smith is injured. He may come back if Will Smith is able to play in this game. He would be bumped up that lineup and everybody would move down. He'd probably bat in the 4 spot, I would assume, but we will have to see. For the Reds, the expected lineup is TJ Friedl in center field, Marte in right field, Austin Hayes in left field. Reminder, Blake Snell is a lefty, so that's why we are super right-handed friendly at the top of this order here. Miguel Andujar at DH, Ellie De La Cruz at shortstop, Spencer Steer at first base, Tyler Stevenson at catcher, Ke'Bryan Hayes at third base, and then Matt McClain at second base. Let's talk about these pitching matchups first, and then we'll get into the lineups here, Joe. I think that this is going to be one hell of a matchup for the Reds. Let's be real. Blake Snell has been very solid, what they expected down the stretch here. He's not been overwhelmingly great, but he has still been very good. A 2.35 ERA. His WHIP is a little higher. He is giving up more walks than he normally would. The thought process is that he has been able to escape damage, in danger, pretty much on his own. But he has kind of, been what they signed him for, and been a stud. So I can kind of see why they might throw him out there in game 1. I love that matchup against Green. Let's go there first.
Yeah, I mean, I would have given the ball to Snell game 1 too. Just Shohei still working his way back. You don't know how far into games he really can go, and just has that playoff experience. Obviously, some of it was with the Rays where they wouldn't let him pitch enough in the game to get big wins, and that's something he's probably frustrated by, but also motivated by. And we saw Blake Snell throw a no-hitter against the Reds last year as a member of the Giants.
Yep.
So he has success against this lineup. The Reds have had their issues with lefties. Yeah, it's better this year, but I would still say this some issues. I have a little bit more confidence with the Reds lineup overall against lefties now that we have Andujar to be quite clear. It's pretty much just because of him. Like
Mm-hmm.
having him in the middle of the lineup against lefties with how good he is against them gives me hope and has me knocking on wood that we won't have a bad getting no hit in the playoff scenario like we had against the Phillies or even against the Braves in 2020 when we didn't get a hit until like the ninth inning or whatever. That gives me some good vibes. And then I do think Hunter Green, his ability to be, like I said earlier, to if he gets into trouble, get himself out of trouble, has been at a level I have not seen him pitch in his whole career, other than this is the first year. That is awesome that he's figured out how to do that. He's going to have to do that against this Dodgers lineup. At some point or another, that you don't pitch perfectly against this team. They have guys who can either hit a solo home run and you have to regroup, or they can have a guy who hits a double and then Freddie Freeman comes to the plate and you're worried about a home run, and you just have to figure it out. So you mentioned Will Smith is out possibly for the series. I would imagine he hairline fracture suffered on September 3rd. He could come back. I don't know how they're going to lean with it if they're going to bring him back. If he's out of the lineup, this makes it a little bit easier. I would say the talent of this team obviously is up there with the best in baseball. Like you could put them 1, 2, 3. I don't even care. You could put that anywhere. They have underachieved as a lineup, in my opinion. And I think as a team overall, we're going to get to that as well, some of their weaknesses after talking about the pitching matchup. But I do think there are points where you can attack this lineup and get some results if you're Hunter Green, especially if Will Smith is out. He is their best average hitter this year at 296. So, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, great. Mookie Betts not having his best offensive season. He's still playing very good baseball. Max Muncy, average is kind of low. And they, like Michael Conforto is playing a lot. He has a 199 average. It's not like your typical Dodgers lineup where you're like looking at 7, 8, 9, and you're like, holy shit, even these guys are awesome. So
Yep.
I would expect Hunter Green to possibly have a pretty good game if he can just avoid those bats at the top of the order, especially if Will Smith is out. That's what I would say is I think this pitching matchup is a lot more even because of the Reds getting Andujar and because of the Dodgers being such an underperforming team and lineup this season.
And I will say, if Will Smith plays, the Reds should expect to run a lot, mainly due to the fact that Shohei Ohtani will play and he will be the DH. If Will Smith comes back, he is going to have to play catcher. There is no other way. Could they put him? I guess they could put him at third base, but then you're not playing Max Muncy. There's a lot. I guess theoretically they could put him at third or second, and Max Muncy could move to the other position, and they take Miguel Rojas out. I don't know. There's a lot of shuffling that would have to happen for Will Smith to come back, and a hairline fracture is kind of an annoying one. That's an injury that doesn't really go away very easily, I should say. So we will have to see there. We have Lodolo versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has also been very good this season for them. He has been their workhorse. 30 games started, 12-8 record, 2.49 ERA. He's got a less than 1 WHIP. His bigger problem has been home runs, but 200 strikeouts in his first season in LA. I believe it's his first season, right? Yeah, first season, second season, first season. Why am I not remembering? Because they signed, second season. That's right, because they signed Roki this year. Okay, yeah, so second season for him. Again, good season for him without a doubt. I worry a little bit with Lodolo. I think he's either going to be really, really good and he is going to dominate Shohei. He's going to dominate Freeman, dominate Muncy, dominate Edman. It's going to have to be, working his way around Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts, and Andy Pages in my mind there. But if we're going into lineups as well with the Reds, I guess we can kind of look into that in a second. But how are you feeling in that second game with Lodolo versus Yamamoto?
Pretty good. I think for the Reds, it's a tough matchup, and I would say, righties don't have the same effect as lefties do on us most of the time, but I would say it's a tough matchup, and we better be ready for that. For Lodolo, I like the matchup. I think you look at some of their big bats on their team, Freddie Freeman, you got Max Muncy, And Shohei, it's one of those things where you can see the lefty on lefty pitches that he has really working. And you're right, he'll have to avoid Teoscar Hernandez, but if Will Smith's out, another big right-handed bat out of that lineup. So I would say I like it. I don't love it. Yeah, I still expect like Mookie Betts to get some key hits, even though again, not his best offensive season, still very solid player and everything. But like that's what I would say. I think it's a good matchup where if we lose game one, I still might think we might lose the series, but I do think there's a lot of hope in game two that Lodolo, especially coming off that 12 strikeout game, I think he can get a lot of damage done against this Dodgers line.
Yeah, I mean, they're not as good against lefties. Freeman and Otani are still batting 285 and 279, respectively. But weirdly, Mookie Betts is 261 against lefties this year. Edman could essentially just not play. Teoscar Hernandez is only 250 against lefties this year as well. So, Andy Pa has really becomes the one you got to look out for. 313 versus lefties. I'm sure he moves up in the batting order. They probably even play Conforto 246 against lefties this year, should that happen. But let's get into the Reds lineup real quickly. I know you have some issues with it. We're going to talk about it real quickly here. I don't think any of us have a problem with the top of the order. Friedel, Marte, Hayes, Andrew Hart, De La Cruz, and Steer. I think that they all make sense. It's the bottom third. I think Stevenson can catch and do a good job against Hunter Green. I will just come outright and say that I do not have a problem if they really think the games are going to be that close. I don't have a problem with them going a little bit more defensively. While I don't love that we always focus on things like errors, one of the stats that I saw Lance McAllister tracking through most of the year was like wins with or without an error. And I know it may seem obvious, but even with just like one error, the Reds were pretty substantially bad. But when they played really solid defense, they were very good. So I don't mind them doing what they're doing here. If they're going to sacrifice Trevino's defense for Stevenson being back there, then keeping Hayes and McLean in the lineup makes sense to me. McLean has struggled mightily over most of the season, but especially over the last 2 weeks. But he has been seeing the ball better. His swings just haven't been what they were, honestly. Like he had a good Cardinal series, and that was really about it. And then Brian Hayes has just been on an absolute just stinker of a couple of weeks here. But again, his defense is just so invaluable. I don't mind it. What I would prefer, especially against a lefty, and I know that they don't want to put the pressure probably on Sal Stewart, I will go with this, and I will say I wouldn't hate Sal Stewart at second base. But if they were to do that, I might want Trevino in instead. So I don't mind two better defensive guys if they can. But what are you thinking with this Reds lineup? Because I know it sounds like already you don't love the idea of McLean playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been a liability in the lineup all season long. Injury or not, I don't honestly know at this point. He's still not getting around on the pitches up in the zone.
Not at all.
It's bad. It's a rally kill. We're a team that needs rallies because we don't hit a lot of home runs. And you get to the bottom of the lineup. And again, Brian Hayes started off hot, kind of cooled down. Last week he had 3 hits. That's not the greatest thing, but it's better than Matt McLean. And you just get to the bottom lineup and it's Hayes and McLean, and it's just like, oh, okay, well, rally over. So I would have Stewart in for McLean. I think his defense in for McLean would not be that much worse. McLean's fine, a very solid second baseman defensively, don't get me wrong. But I think Sal Stewart, he made some nice plays at third base. He missed one at the game I was at on Wednesday that Brian Hayes would have had, but that's also a Gold Glove third baseman. So I would keep Hayes in. I would have Sal Stewart at second base. If it comes down to Stevenson versus Trevino, I'd probably start Stevenson in game one, try to get that offense going. And as long as he starts 2 out of the 3 games, or at least 1 out of the 2, I'm fine with it. His offense and power, I think, bring something to the lineup that just Trevino doesn't. And we haven't seen him hit the ball since the first couple months of the season. I still value what he does as a defensive catcher. But I just think that's it. I think it's just one of those things where if you're trying to compete against the Dodgers, who again have their own holes in the lineup, like Michael Conforto has arguably had a worse season than Matt McLean.
Yeah.
If you look at his stats, 199 batting average, negatives .7 WAR, 12 home runs. I mean, Very bad season. So I would say that would be what I would do. I'm not going to be too hard on Terry if he goes with his gut, or if the front office is saying to him, hey, we need Matt McClain in the lineup because he's a young guy and we don't really, we have everything tied to him. And Sal Stewart, we're just not ready for him to come up yet and be a starter in the playoffs. I get it. They have a lot of future attached to Matt McClain, but I do think if they wanted the best chance to win, everyone can go in and like yell about Terry about this guy or that guy. It really is just putting Sal Stewart in the lineup for Matt McClain. And there's people who don't want Hayes in the lineup. I get it. There's guys who don't want Espinal on the roster. There's guys that don't want, who have a lot of problems with everything with this team. But the quickest way to improve this lineup is just put Sal Stewart for Matt McClain. That's as easy as it gets.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there, and I think, it's tough because I'm sorry, I'm trying to find Hunter Green's stats with certain pitchers because I believe you can do that. So give me a minute while I'm doing that. But I do think that's going to be – I think that's going to be the big stinker for everybody is, the funny part is like Stewart has really not been super great average-wise, but he's clutch. He has that it factor, right? Like where, he hits a huge home run on Saturday to lengthen the lead for the Reds, and I think a time where they really desperately needed one more run, I think, to keep them focused in that game. I think as well for Matt McClain, he did have a really good game on Saturday too. 2 hits, 2 walks. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough decision because I do think that Matt McClain is a much better fielder than Sal Stewart is. I don't think anybody's going to totally disagree with that. I just am. It depends on how we are feeling against Blake Snell because Blake Snell could also just absolutely eat up a young hitter like Sal Stewart. But if we really think that Sal could get the jump on him, then I'm fine with playing him. I don't know. I really don't. I think it is a very close decision. I think it's a lot closer than people are going to make it out to be. That I will say. But let me look here. I got the bye catcher here. So with Tyler Stevenson in 8 games, he's actually got a 2.43 ERA. He does have one more walk, but his batting average against is 183. So I can almost guarantee you that it will be Stevenson. Trevino still was obviously good, 3.3 ERA. He did give up 11 of the 15 home runs, and that was only in 2 more games. But the strikeout to walk ratio was much higher. He was striking out a lot more guys. Batting average did climb by 20 points, but it was still obviously 210, so nothing crazy. So we will have to see on that. I'm going to check Lodolo real quick for us as well, just so that we can kind of just get an idea of what that might look like here. By catcher as well. A much better Trevino will start in game 2. Stevenson has caught him 3 times this season. So Stevenson will probably start game 1, Trevino in game 2, and then I guess I'll quickly check Abbott here in case if we go to game 3. So by catcher it would be Stevenson has caught him in 18 of the 28 games this season, but it's pretty close. You could go either way with Trevino. I think it depends on who you. I think at that point you probably go with Stevenson again. Well, actually, I don't know. Trevino has a 210. Yeah, it's probably Trevino actually. It's half the innings pitched, but the batting average against and everything else is 30 points lower. So we will see. This is different. Looking at Abbott specifically, Stevenson caught him in more games. That's because we played Stevenson more than Trevino, right? Ultimately. So, I think at that point, you're probably starting Stevenson, and then we'll see what they'll do at second base. So really it's going to come down to, will it be McClain? Will it be, Stewart? Will it be Austin Hayes in left field or not? If he is able to. You can't take Andrew Hart out of the lineup at this point, period. So I don't care how good everybody thinks Hayes is. Andrew Hart has been an unbelievable monster. He might be the best hitter the Reds have ever picked up at the deadline in my lifetime. I really and truly. I know he's been injured, but the man has batted I don't even know. What let me check real quick. Where is he at right now? With the Reds, He has hit 359 in 34 games. That is unbelievable when you think about it. What's crazy is actually in 52 more games, he and Key Brian Hayes actually have the same amount of hits. That's pretty wild to think about. But regardless, I'll give you a quick one here. 20 more at-bats than Jeimer Candelario, almost 30 more hits. Craziness. Absolutely craziness. So, yeah, you got any other thoughts on that, or you want to get into predictions?
Yeah, just Tyler. I think said Tyler Stevenson needs to catch 2 out of 3, or at least 1 out of 2. And I think you're right. I think it'll be game 1 at least to start, and then we'll see what happens in game 3. Yeah, I think I expect them to do what they have done, which is Matt McClain's in the line. Brian Hayes is in the lineup most days. Ooh. There is the argument again. I'm not going to kill Tito like everyone else does. I really appreciate what he's done with this team. 255 average. 0.5 WAR in a month, 5 home runs. He's doing everything better than Matt McClain at the plate. Every single thing. And the defense is better, but how much better? Like, how? Quantify it for me. Is it worth that batting average difference, that home run difference, that WAR difference? That's something that I think they have to answer. I don't know. And how like, what is your plan to get him in the game if you need a clutch at bat? Is it going to be like, I would say, hey, take out Matt McClain, but like a lot of times it's not. It's like it's a lefty-righty thing, and you might have to wait a lot longer than you want. So that's where I'm at with it. McClain plays well because that's going to be what they do. I don't think it's much of a decision for Terry. I think he's just going to roll with what he's done, and that's fine. But let's hope Matt McClain has a good series and kind of bails Terry out for a lot of the heat you might get, because I could actually see people being mad about Sal Stewart not playing a lot this series when he has earned the right to, honestly.
I think he is too, and I think he, like Ellie, shines brightest when the lights are at their brightest. So, I wouldn't hate that really whatsoever. All right, Joe, let's go predictions. This is the big time here. We have thought through a lot. We've got a good idea here. There are holes, I guess. What weaknesses do you see with the Dodgers? How can the Reds exploit it? And then give your predictions.
Dodgers bullpen ERA.
Terrible.
Bad. 4.27. It's not the worst in the playoffs. I believe the Yankees have that right now at 4.37, but it is very bad. And you would expect a team like the Dodgers, or a big market team like the Dodgers and Yankees and all them, to go and improve that at the deadline. And they really didn't do as much as you would think. And that's something I think we can exploit, especially if you do get to a game 3 and Shohei's the pitcher. Like you said, he has not gone too deep into games. I think he's gone 7 innings one time. If you can get to Shohei and make the bullpen come in, the guy who leads the team in saves right now has like a 4.74 ERA. They don't even know who the best pitchers are in the bullpen. So they have a couple guys who pitched pretty well: Jack Dreyer, Anthony Banda, Alex Vesia. But after that, there's not much. So if you can get to the bullpen early in game 1 even, and kind of make them work for the next couple games, you're really setting yourself up well. So that's where I think we can exploit. I think our left-handed pitchers can do very well against this Dodgers lineup. Again, there's not much different. Like, some of their hitters individually do way worse against lefties, but their overall stats, a couple times we played them, it's pretty even in terms of the output that they get out of it. So, but if you can limit the big bats and kind of keep in the game until the late innings with our left-handed pitchers, that's where you can win it. You very much could be in it with, hey, we're only down 2 in the bottom of the 9th, but we have a runner on first and Ellie's at the plate. Can you go tie the game up and win it? That's where I think it's going to be interesting to see. And also, they played well the last couple of weeks, but they're only 35-30 since the All-Star break. So
yeah, I completely agree.
They've had their ups and their downs. And it's just like, I think that they could be coming off of some good play, could end up going down again.
No, I completely agree. I think that they are a team that the Reds can take advantage of. I'm actually looking up right now, Joe, what their the innings pitched are for each of their players. So just to give you guys an example here, Snell's been going about 5.5 innings per game. Yamamoto 5.8, which is the highest actually amongst all the pitchers in this one. So that game 2 is going to be very important. And then obviously Shohei 3.35 innings per. For the Reds, though, and this is where again I think they haven't. If the starting pitching could be there, the Reds can do this. But 5.7-ish innings for Hunter Green, 5.6 for Lodolo, 5.72 for Andrew Abbott. So the Reds generally are going longer in games. If the Reds can find a way to get to their starting pitchers early, that's where the Reds will have an advantage. I think if the Reds can get out to a lead early on in either of these first two games, I think that's where they will have the advantage. The Reds have actually had a much better bullpen. Now, they have guys who have less experience, but that can be good, right? Their adrenaline's going to be going. They aren't going to know what they don't know, right? That's always the expression. These guys have been there a lot. This is not, it sounds bad, but for this Dodgers team, it is not nearly as meaningful of a series for the Reds. They are probably expecting the Reds to lose. I don't know what the betting odds are. Let me see here. MLB playoff betting odds. I don't know if you've been looking at these, Joe, yet.
They were plus 150 in game one.
They were plus 150 in game one, so actually pretty close, if we're being honest. But let me see if Yahoo Sports has one here for the series. I believe. Wow, I think it has them at plus 500. Or minus. It's minus 250 for the Dodgers to beat the Reds. Plus 200 for the Reds right now, according to BetMGM. Which, it's by far and away the most lopsided of the first round of the playoffs. I didn't hear real quickly. Sorry, because I was looking this up. Did you give your official prediction yet?
I did not yet, but I can if you want me to.
Okay, I'll go through mine real quick. I think that the Reds, again, their inexperience may actually be a positive for them against a team like this. While they didn't play the Dodgers well here near the end of the season, there is a renewed vigor for this team by just being able to make the playoffs, right? Hopefully they are nursing any potential hangovers today to get themselves ready to go. I would assume based on if they really needed it, I'm sure the Reds already have plenty of IV bags for them to make sure that all of them are good to go. I don't know what they're going to do today to get themselves ready. I would assume they're already in LA. I believe that they left last night, so that wouldn't be a huge surprise to me. But, when it comes down to it, it's kind of weird. I like our chances against them, Joe. This is tough, but I think it's going to come down to game 3. I really genuinely do. I think the Reds have battled. They have played good teams very well all season. I think the Reds could surprise the Dodgers. I'm going to go 2-1, dude. They're there. Why not? Why not the Reds, right? They have, I think, really good pitching that can get them through it. I think that they have handled Shohei all season long. I really think it comes down to if they can keep Ohtani and Freeman under wraps for the most part, right? They'll have their big hits. But I think if you can keep them under wraps for the most part, I think that this Reds team is going to find a way to do it, man. Their whole motto is you can't kill us. We are cockroaches. I can really see them pushing this to a game 3. And I think Ohtani, he did not pitch well against the Reds. I think that's their only loss they had all season against the Reds was in the start by Ohtani. And I think I would rather take Abbott than Ohtani in that game 3. I think Abbott's going to be a dog, and he's going to come out and get it done. I'm taking 2-1 Reds, dude. Screw it. Why not? Why can't they do it? I just think that there's a vibe there, and I really, we've talked about it all season long. Green, Lodolo, Abbott. You do not want to face them in the playoffs. Every single thing I was watching and reading last night was everybody was hoping the Mets would make it instead of the Reds because they didn't want to have to go up against our pitching. I think they get it done, and I think they break a curse this year.
Yeah, they're 1-5 against the Dodgers this year. Not
Not great.
Up there. The offense is sluggish. The Dodgers have the second best home record in the National League, I think tied for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going Reds 2-1 as well.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no,
I didn't think
like
you
I
would.
said, the Dodgers are one of the most underperforming teams I think we've ever seen. Like 93 wins for this roster is dog shit. I mean, you could say the same thing about the Yankees. Like the Yankees, 94 wins, and honestly should have won the division. And they have a roster that like these rosters, the Yankees and the Dodgers. And again, I picked the Yankees to win it all this year over the Mets, coincidentally, which is funny. They're waste like too many holes for a team of their payroll in their cities for a team with those expectations. I think like most times I can like appreciate good baseball from even the big market teams because of like their strengths and their weaknesses. I don't know how you have the weaknesses they have with that bullpen. How big of a weakness is that? I think that both of them could be on the ropes early in their series against the Red Sox and the Reds. And again, I think 93 wins with this roster. A lot of the offense, maybe again, the offense. A lot of the guys on offense not playing up to their potential. Will Smith being hurt. I think they can do it. I think Hunter Green is going to have to set the tone in Game 1. I think if they have to win Game 1 if this is going to happen. If they lose Game 1, I think they probably lose the series. And that's obviously math and everything. But I think if they haven't won any shot, they have to win Game 1. And then I think, honestly, there's a good chance they win 2-0 because I do think Lodolo's matchup is really, really good against this Dodgers lineup. Yeah, I think they can win the series and they can move on. I probably will pick them to win next round. I think if they play the Phillies, I think the Phillies have a little bit of a more well-rounded roster, although their bullpen is pretty bad as well. I think they have a 4.25 ERA, so maybe there's some similarities there. But I fear the Phillies line up a little bit more than I fear the Dodgers in a weird way. So I think that's gonna be the difference for me. So I'm gonna say Reds win this one, and we'll be here Thursday or Friday talking about it and having a good time.
I think the big thing is Emilio's going to be on 2 days rest, which I don't remember the last time he's had that in the last month, really. Because they would still put him in most games if it was any more than 2 days rest. Santion as well is going to be on some rest. Graham will be on rest. They didn't have to lean on Barlow later on in the season, but like the one advantage as well, and it's not that Dave Roberts obviously doesn't have a ton of playoff experience too, but like so does Terry Francona. And I think if we had a younger manager or a less experienced manager, that would be, a problem for them. But I really think that he's going to get these guys to buy in. I think there's going to be a couple clutch hits. It's going to be low scoring games. I really, truly believe that. I think the Reds may win Game 1 4-2 or something like that, and it may be late. And I don't love the fact that we're going to be, on the road for all 3 games, right? Is it all 3 games? Yeah, all 3 games. So, I don't love that at all. I would love, for them to make it to the next round so then we get at least a guaranteed playoff game at home. I think that would be pretty outstanding. But, yeah, man, I really do think that this team can kind of go in and get it done. Like you said, their bullpen has been surprisingly bad. The fact that Tanner Scott blew 10 saves this year is kind of incredible. Kirby Yates, another guy they used in a lot of save opportunities, not great. Weirdly enough, Alex Vesia, who's been one of their better guys, he's not been great in save opportunities either. If the Reds can get to Blake Snell or Yamamoto early in the game, like if they can put up a 2 spot early on, I think the Reds can go out and get this done because Green and Lodolo, like those 2 guys have been waiting for this opportunity and they are dangerous. So I love the opportunity for them to go out and make this happen. And if they do, I will hope and pray that the Reds can continue this. But just the fact that they made it, getting this experience is going to go such a long way for this roster, for this team moving forward. Just being here with the opportunity to surprise, hopefully it will as well give the front office the opportunity to go out and do what needs to be done once we get to the offseason, which I hope and pray will be at the end of October. If this team makes a freaking Diamondbacks type run, Joe, I may lose my ever-loving mind. But We will have to see. Any final words of wisdom, Joe, before I lose it in terms of just excitement for this series?
Yeah, big bachelor party for you this weekend. Hopefully the Reds are playing on Saturday.
I hope so.
During that bachelor party. And honestly, it won't be probably the late game because the Mariners will be hosting game 1 of the ALDS as well, so it won't be too bad. Not that we won't be up anyway.
We will.
Couple stats here that I mentioned that are good for Tito. The Reds are the first team ever to make the playoffs with no one to hit 270.
Insane.
No qualified hitters hit 270.
Yep.
No qualified hitter, or no one hit 25 home runs. There was no 15-win pitcher, and there was no pitcher who had 200 strikeouts. And Terry Francona got this team to the playoffs. Now, some of this was because of injury, but Terry also had to make up for that and have other guys step in and do a lot of work. So, yeah, that's incredible. This team is better than it is on paper. On paper, they are a bad team, and they are better. The talent they have is better, and they just get wins in a way that, like, the stats that I just read there, that's like a 79-win team. That's like a 77-win team, but they did it. This is tied, I believe, for my research, the lowest win total to make the playoffs ever. A couple of years ago, we mentioned Diamondbacks and Marlins had 84 wins.
Mm-hmm.
We now have 83 wins, Rob. The last time, there was 2 other times in National League history that teams with 83 wins made the playoffs. It was the 05 Padres and the 06 Cardinals.
Yep.
And the 06 Cardinals won the whole damn thing. So if you're looking for some hope, that could be it.
It's all about just getting to the dance. At that point, you just got to lean on your strengths. And look, I will take pitching over offense any day. And I know that may sound silly, but when you have dominating pitching, you can absolutely make a run. If Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Andrew Abbott can do their thing, if Emilio Pagan and Tony Santillan can do their thing, if you can get just a little bit of offense along with those guys, you have got a shot against any team in baseball. And I am really excited to kind of see what they do. Even if they 0-2, just the fact that they are here, the fact that they are going to gain that experience and they're going to have that hunger moving forward is enough for me right now. Let's just see if they can exceed expectations once again. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. We hope to be seeing you guys later this week. At the worst, we will see you a week from now. But yeah, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Go Reds!